Very good afternoon to everybody as you're joining us today for this very special PPMA webinar. It's always good to see some familiar names coming in and some new names for us. For those who I haven't met before, I'm Lethan Green. I'm the Executive Director of Transformation for the Public Sector at Oracle. And Oracle were really thrilled and privileged to be sponsoring the OD category of the PPMA Awards. And today it's all about our fabulous winner. And our winner this year was from Walsall Council. And I'm thrilled to introduce Jackie Matthews, who's the head of OD from Walsall Council. Jackie, good afternoon and welcome. How are you doing?
Good. Hi, everybody. Thrilled to be here. And obviously, we were thrilled to win the award. So,
and quite right. This is one of the most hotly contested categories of PPMA awards. So it's always fantastic to get the winner to come forth and share their story. And you're going to be talking to us today all about connected working. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
I'm not going to probe any deeper. I'm going to give you the talking stick and hand over. And colleagues out there, if you've got any questions for Jackie, pop them into the chat and I'll pick them up. We'll probably take the questions at the end, unless there's something really urgent that you want to ask as Jackie is flowing through. So just mark it in terms of whether or not, if it's something specific. But otherwise, please pepper us with your questions in the chat. And Jackie, over to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm here to talk about connected working. Connected working is a management training program for teams, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. It very much focuses on developing an inclusive, psychologically safe team. We want staff to be valued, recognised, empowered, and are continually developed in their roles, so they don't remain static in their roles. Could we have the next slide, please? So the background to this is that we did a staff survey in 2021, and you can see that there was a number of areas needing improvement. So we're talking about staff empowerment, career development, feeling valued and recognised, equality and diversity, and morale. So it was very clear from that staff survey that we need to look at our managers and develop their people skills. So not so much their practice and, how they manage from a policy and procedure point of view, but their people skills. Next slide, please. So what's the program all about? So this shows you what we did. So the whole management team come together, and we talked to the senior managers, and they identified their team objectives. So what is it that they want to solve within their team? And it's working with that whole management team. Now that's really important, to share good practice and the team learn together. So from that, once we've identified the key objectives, we then move on. So the connected working lead and the senior manager agree the program. So thinking about the objectives, what do we need to cover? So there's an example of some of the sessions that we run. So building a strong team, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. We do coaching as a management style, growing the team, time management, improving communication, all sorts of things that are very people focused and often referred to as softer skills. But I'm not a great fan of that term, because some of these skills are quite difficult, and they develop over time with managers. So they're not so soft, actually. They're quite hard to learn. So we call them people skills. So we build the program in conjunction with the manager and with what they want to achieve. We have very much gone down online training. So we'd send out the online training invites ahead of time so that they're all in the diaries. And online training makes sense from a point of view that we are hybrid working at Walsall Council. It means that we don't have to book rooms, we don't have to get everybody spending time travelling, parking, all of that normal sort of thing with face-to-face training. But it's really important that there's clear parameters with the online training, and the training is really interactive. So we've used an awful lot of IT within that training. So we use things like Mentimeter, for example, those of you that might have used that before. So it's not chalk and talk, it's very much taking part within the sessions. What we also do is allocate coaches, and they will meet their coachee before any of the training takes place. And what the coaching does is hold managers to account between the training sessions and ask them about what they've done, what they've learned, what they've put into practice, what they're trying that's new. So the coaching is really critical to this, and I'll explain a little bit why later. Next slide, please. Okay, so key differences. Very much this programme is really flexible. So it's not this is the programme, this is what you get. It's that talking to the senior manager, what is it that you want to achieve? We've got this suite of different training activities and training that you can do. Which ones are most fit what you want to achieve? And then the coaching on top of that then make sure this happens. And the overall aim of what we're trying to do is develop high-performing teams. And that's really important. And you can see the little picture on this slide. These are the 7 aspects that make up, from our point of view at Walsall Council, what makes up a high-performing team. So these things are threaded throughout our training. But we have a number of other key themes as well. So continuous improvement is really important to us. So we thread that through, that we can keep improving all the time. We want to develop that learning culture. So we're really encouraging the managers, but also within their teams, to keep learning, to keep trying new things. We also promote coaching, so the manager is a coach, and really empowering their staff through coaching. And we have a key focus on equality, diversity and inclusion as well throughout. We've done quite a lot of work on neurodiversity, for example. We also have SharePoint pages. So that's our own intranet, and we've got our own connected working SharePoint pages that really support managers even after the programme is finished. So they can find information, they can, anything that we've used in training, they can go back and find that on those pages. And we're really of a mind that if we work with the teams, there's a greater chance of success, rather than we're coming in and we're going to do this to you. We want to work with the teams. Next slide, please. So learning, if you're learning something new, it requires all of these 4 stages to be completed. And if you think about it, if you look at the top right, the concrete experience, having the actual experience, how many of us have been to training and we go, oh, it's great, it's brilliant, I've got all these resources, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. You get back to work, you put it in the desk, in the drawer, and you forget about it because you're really, really busy. What the coaching aspect of connected working does, it helps the individual go through this learning cycle. So helps the manager to reflect on what they've learned, helps the manager to consider what they might do differently, and helps the manager apply their new ideas and assess afterwards if it's been successful and if it's something they want to continue. So one of the big things around connected working is we go through this cycle constantly throughout the journey. Next slide, please. So let's have a bit of a case study. So that's all the sort of theory stuff and what we do and how we do it. Let's have a look at one of the teams we've worked with. So the place and environment team we've worked with at Walsall Council. And they are part of a bigger directorate called EE&C. So we had 41 managers enrolled on the programme, and these managed operational frontline services, so our waste, our grounds, our highways, our leisure. So a real mixed bunch of managers, and the senior management were really looking at how they might refresh and modernise the approach to leading the service and move towards a more modern culture. And the objectives that they were looking at was very much around a consistent approach to people management, looking at how they get a high-performing team, wanting to share good practice, but also go on the journey together through this and make some decisions about their culture together. Next slide, please. Okay, so in one of the training sessions, I referred to building a strong team, and that was really important for this group, the Place and Environment group. So they completed, or we sent out anonymously to all of their staff a psychological safety survey. So all of their teams got the survey. It was anonymous, and it asked a number of questions about how safe they feel to raise issues, make suggestions, what happens if they make mistakes. And the results were met with some defensiveness in the first instance. But the management team, and this was really driven by the director, which is why you do need that senior management involvement. And they were driven by the director to think about what they could do better and how they could tackle the issues raised. And it really was a turning point for them, because they realised that what they thought as managers and what the team thought were very different. And that was really key to them moving forward with this project. And it became apparent that their one-to-ones, they weren't, it was more of a quick conversation rather than something more structured, where they're really digging down into the careers or, you know, what was happening within the team. So really helped them to think about what they needed to do moving forward. And there's a little bit there on the right, you can see the director, it was reported to them about people talking more and shouting less and the atmosphere changing. So that was really, really perfect from our point of view. Next slide, please. And this, I've put this up because, again, those of you that really like data and hard evidence as opposed to what somebody said, you can see on here how the managers felt that the coaching helped them. And one of the key things I think on here is better self-awareness. And, you know, being more self-aware, being aware of your different aspects, your traits, abilities, behaviours, feelings, that self-awareness is key if you're going to develop a team and if you're going to develop a high-performing team. So that's really important. So that for me is really justifies what we did with this team. You can also see those improved management skills and better communication skills as well. So all of these things are so important to the individual. And you can see there was a number of managers also felt more confident in what they were doing. So that, again, is really good to see from this project. Next slide, please. And just a couple of other things. We did a lot of work with neurodiversity because we identified that there was a number of managers that were neurodiverse, and when they were talking to their coaches, they also had a number of neurodiverse people that they were managing. So we did quite a bit of work with this particular group on neurodiversity. And what one of the managers reported back after doing the training, he was training some new recruits. I think they were grass cutting, if I remember, and realised that this individual really wasn't picking up the training, and realised that it wasn't the individual, it was the way in which they were being trained, and this individual was neurodivergent. So they changed the training methodology to better suit this individual. And that is huge. That is a huge thing, particularly for that individual. So they were able to change that. And the manager did say, I wouldn't have considered that before. The training was the training, and that's what we did. So really, really important. Okay, yeah, next slide, please. So what I'd just like to summarise that, you know, for us, the Connected Working Programme, it's more than a standard management training programme. It's about changing culture of a team so that you've got trust, you've got mutual respect, a shared vision and direction, and that we make that, the more teams that we do this with across Walsall, we make that endemic to the organisation rather than the exception. So, yeah, we're really pleased that, you know, this is a new programme, but it's, as I very briefly showed you, I think you can see there's some real positives coming out of this. So thank you very much for listening. And if there's any questions, leave them, I'm quite happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Jackie. That was great, really informative. We have got some questions come through. Thanks for those who posted the questions. Could you share with us, Jackie, something around the scale of the program, like, you know, how many people from the OD team delivered, you know, the online modules, and how often?
Okay, so again, how often we do, how long the programme runs is very dependent, again, on the senior management. What we found with this particular group, they had a training session every month, and our training sessions last no longer than 2 hours. Because that's enough time for anybody to concentrate. So they'd have very focused, very interactive training session for 2 hours once a month. And in between those training sessions, they'd have a coaching session. Some managers had more coaching sessions than others, depending on, you know, their experience, how they felt, what they personally needed. The connected working team is a team of 4 people. So, but that's all they do. That is their job, to deliver this programme. So, yeah, it's a small team, but high impact.
Yeah, I mean, some might say that's a big team. I don't know, compared to, you know, I mean, it's a great investment that the council has chosen to make. So is this something that you've applied right across the council, or is it optional for departments to say, yes, I want to take this particular offer on board?
We've gone with, so this was very new. 2.5 years ago, I came into the council and started writing it. So it's new. There's been a focus previously on performance. And the way I've sold it is performance is really about your skills and your motivation. So if you tackle skills and motivation, then you're going to increase your performance. I think some previous training at the council had very much focused on performance. So this was moving away from that. So we've gone with early adopters. So those directorates, teams that can really see what this could do, and we're really keen to adopt it. We've gone with them now, first of all, because it has been successful. Other teams are, oh, hang on a minute, we're missing out here. We really need to do this. So we've now got, because we have only got a team of 4, we have now got a bit of a waiting list. But, you know, yeah, bit of a...
So another part of that question is, what proportion of the council have you covered so far?
We've covered quite a small part, to be honest. I think in total at the moment we've delivered to about 250 managers. And well, 250, I should say, people, because another thing that we have done is deliver to some teams that weren't all managers, but they were very front-facing with the public. So although they weren't managing people within the council, they have managed the public. So a lot of these skills are, you know, communication, all of those sorts of things are very similar. So we have also delivered to one team that is front facing as well. It's a bit of a test, but it has proved really useful with that team as well. So
Great. And did you train your own coaches, or have you used external providers?
No, so I've trained up the coaches that we have. So they were trained up in the delivery of the materials, on the ethos of what connected working was, and also the coaching side of things. And it's personally, I think it's really important that the trainers are the coaches, so they do both. And what that allows them to do is the rapport that they build is good with the participants, but they also know what has been delivered. So when they say, oh, and what did you learn? You know, they actually do know what they learned, because they were either there or they've delivered it before, or, you know, so they're very close to the whole process from start to finish.
Thanks. And we've got time, I think, to squeeze in one final question. So thanks for this one, which is all about return on investment. So, you know, how do you measure the return on investment that you've made? And perhaps do you have any kind of productivity measures, or the impact on customer service, or cost savings? How do you go about doing that?
Okay, so this isn't This isn't about cost saving. This is more about culture, and it's more about teams and how teams work together. So I wouldn't be looking at any sort of cost savings associated with this, other than possibly if you create the right culture within your teams, you're going to have less movement of staff or people leaving for the wrong reasons. So when we come to the end of a program, we collect lots of data, we do lots of surveys, and the surveys are not about, did you like the room, did you like the training? It's more about, how have you implemented this? What have you done differently? And so we collect that sort of impact on the organisation, and you see that's where I've got some of the information that I've showed you today around impact. So a report is written that then goes to the senior manager that instigated wanting to do the programme, and we look at how well the feedback that we've got aligns with the objectives at the very start of the programme.
Great. So in terms of why should we do something like this? What is there any kind of consistent theme that you've got coming out because you've invested in this program? We are now better at doing this, or the culture has shifted from A to B, which is consistent across those teams that you've been working with?
When we're looking at, I don't know about the other people on the call, but Walsall is, we have an ageing population. It's one of the things that we've got to work on. So within Walsall, the average age is quite high. So we need to encourage younger people coming in. Now, those younger people are not going to hang around if they're not being developed. And that's one of the key things. So our managers, it's really important that they have this idea of continuous improvement, careers, and they're thinking about how they're developing their individuals within their team, if they want to hold on to the younger sort of members of staff, because they expect that. They expect that their manager coaches them. They expect to be given opportunities, and that's not just about training, that's about opportunities from an everyday work point of view, learning at work.
Great. Well, that's our time up today. Thank you, Jackie, so much. I'm sure our conversation could have gone on much longer. For those of you who posted questions, that's so appreciative of that, and I hope everybody's enjoyed listening to the overview of this program. And if you want further information, I'm sure Jackie and the team would be more than happy to share their experiences and learning. And best of luck, Jackie. I look forward to seeing what stage 2 looks like and beyond. And all of you out there, in terms of thinking about your own work, look at the PPMA website, and it's out the 50th anniversary this year. So the award ceremony next year is going to be supersonically amazing. And why not see if you're going to be a winner on the stage, just as Jackie and the team experienced this year. So in the meantime, thanks again to Jackie. Thank you all for joining us, and hopefully you'll be able to tune into a future edition of the PPMA website. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. And I'm happy to help if anybody wants to get in touch.